sponsored by Telguard. I'm Jacqueline Shawn, Marketing Manager for the Electronic Security Association. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. All callers will be muted for the duration of this webinar, so please be sure to use your question or your chat log to submit any questions, and they will all be addressed at the end of the webinar. Additionally, a recording of this webinar will be available online in the members-only resource library at esaweb.org. CE credits are available for attending today's session, so please refer to your chat log momentarily for instructions on how to request those accreditation forms. Today's webinar on Doubling Your RMR with Video Verification is presented by Sean Welsh. Sean is Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for Tellular and brings over 15 years of experience in the wireless industry to Tellular. Prior to Tellular, Sean was responsible for business development and product management at Motorola. In his role at Tellular, he oversees the product marketing and business development teams, providing strategic insight and leadership. Since joining the company, Sean has spearheaded numerous innovative initiatives, including the introduction of the industry's first complete line of cellular alarm communicators for 3G, 4G networks, and the launch of Telguard's home automation solution, Telguard Home Control. Sean is an active member of the CSAA and the ESA and an advocate for manufacturers as well as security dealers. He is a recognized security leader and often presents at events on issues that affect our industry. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sean.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And we'll have to remind me in the future that we'll have to come up with a shorter bio. That was a long one, but thank you for introducing me. And hello, all the attendees to the webinar today. As Jacqueline mentioned, this is Sean Welsh. I'm the Head of Marketing and Business Development for Tellular, and that in turn is what we've come to talk about today, Telguard. The title of the webinar is Doubling Your RMR. We're going to get into that, but at the end of the day, it really centers on understanding a little bit more about the opportunities associated with video verification and how some companies are successfly really getting behind this type of add-on technology so that it is possible to actually truly double their RMR by the additional value that the solution provides. We're all set on definitions and things of that nature. I imagine most everyone on the call would be aware of the core definition of video verification. But while we're here, just thought we'd start off with talking a little bit about that. Video verification is the use of captured or real-time video in which the footage is aligned with an action that initiated the alarm. Most commonly, and in the scenarios that we'll be talking about today, it's really a motion-based alarm coupled with the video camera so that the motion and the video clip are attached together. When that happens, and then the verification part really kicks in, which is that motion-triggered alarm and the video clip are sent directly to the central station for review and dispatch. And this is a key part of, obviously, I think the added improvement that a video verification system brings is that we're not talking about something being sent to an end user, although some of these systems can be used along with that feature. But the core feature that we're talking about here that really brings the additional RMR and the additional level of feature set to an existing or a new installation is the fact that you are getting that video clip directly to a central station operator in the smallest amount of time possible so that they can actually react, and when they're talking with the PSAP, they can actually be a virtual eyewitness to the event that's taking place. On to the next slide if we can. Then one of the important definitions here is that video verification really is differentiated, and it's important to understand that when we're talking about video verification systems, that we understand that it's a differentiation from a DVR or video surveillance type system. Video verification systems really are like having an eyewitness on the scene, so that the goal of video verification really is to lead to an immediate arrest and hopefully the stopping the crime that is currently in progress. Whereas a video surveillance, and coupled with DVRs and things of that nature, those are typically more evidentiary and going back and trying to determine what happened and see if we recognize and put out a bolo on the particular criminal that's perhaps captured in the scene. But they're also great. Those existing systems for video surveillance are also very good for scenarios where you're really maybe monitoring employees and looking for internal theft, things that are maybe taking place throughout a day and wouldn't necessarily trigger an event as much as you just need to be able to go back and have another set of eyes kind of watching and recording throughout the day. But at the end of the day, video surveillance really is more about evidence and leading, hopefully, to the capture of a criminal, whereas video verification is like having an eyewitness on scene so that the criminal is caught in the act. Or more importantly, I said that is probably the more important aspect of it, but additionally, to cut down on false alarms, because if you have someone that's there and you're triggering an alarm from the system, you can actually utilize these types of systems to prevent the dispatch of the law enforcement. As we go on to the next slide here, that really the big payoff in these systems, when we talk about doubling your RMR, and we'll spend some time right here, talk about some of the value propositions that a video verification system really does bring and how this could lead effectively to this doubling of RMR concept. Well, not concept and reality for many dealers, I should add, that when we talk about the values that are associated with video verification, it's important, I think, that the dealers that are most successful in positioning and selling video verification to their customers for additional RMR are ones that really know how to frame up the importance of verification in the context of the actual customer. So one important aspect of that would be that obviously, and I think that it's been talked about quite a bit, is that video verification systems increasingly, because of the work of the PPVAR and of just the concept of having someone actually able to be an eyewitness effectively to a crime in progress, that these systems do lead to a faster police response. Not to say that the existing system is somehow broken or defunct or deficient because it may not lead to a fast police response, but it is simply that these types of systems with video verification do and are at times written in as ordinances or other types of standard operating procedures for local police departments to cut down on their dispatch of false alarms. They are commonly going to result in a legitimate, faster police response. The dealers that we've spoken to that have the most success in gaining additional value by selling these systems are ones that really do leverage that aspect of it, but don't do so in such a way that it tears down an existing alarm system, but they do it in such a way that the existing traditional system maintains its value from the warning system aspect of it and the ability to protect the premise at all times of the day, but they layer on top of it the added benefit. And so that's where you kind of get the doubling. If you look at what you're doing right now from a non-video verified standpoint, that they go back in and talk with their customers about the fact that new technology is now available. It's not that the existing technology is bad, but now there is new technology that's available that can be added to an existing system, and I think that's going to be an important aspect, that you can go back in and add these types of products to an existing system to upsell the addition of the verified response and the faster police access, but you're selling it on the benefits of that particular increase in security above and beyond the current level that's provided. And being able to really make and justify that case has certainly led to dealers that have really focused on understanding and the real value propositions for that, has led to their ability to get, twice as much RMR out of an account. Now, they may only have 50% success at getting a customer to want to increase and upgrade their level of security and potentially the level of response for adding that system, but with a focused and an intentional effort to sell these systems, they see 50% or more take rates, and the pricing that they set for the system is usually around twice as much as their existing system. But that isn't the only benefit on the priority response. The other important benefits for the end user to realize is that it also will cut down on the number of false alarms. Now, oftentimes without the video verified alarm, when there is an alarm that goes off, the key holder or the person responsible for the site has to go out and visit the site and meet the police there, let them in, double check everything's okay, and that becomes a huge nuisance to the business owner and something that ultimately starts to detract from the overall value that's really being provided by the traditional system. The addition of a video verified system to a traditional system is one that starts to cut down also on these false dispatches from the operator's point of view, as well as cuts them down, obviously, in the annoyance factor of the actual business owner and having to go out and constantly meet the same police officer at the same business every couple days to walk around and say, yep, nothing's out of place, everything's fine. And so I can tell from personal experience, I've had my mother many years ago was responsible for a State Farm insurance office that had a lot of Mylar balloons floating around that office at various times of the year. And I remember constantly her having to get up in the middle of the night to go and meet the police officers out there to pop yet another Mylar balloon. And the frustration that she personally had is one that just plays out over and over again with these types of scenarios. Yet with video verified systems, she would have, and any of the business owners would have been able to be blissfully ignorant to the balloons floating around the office, and been able to have a peaceful night's sleep. So we look here at this big payoff, the doubling of the RMR. Again, it doesn't come for free as far as the amount of effort that you, an audience, if you're security dealers, that you might have to put into a system like this. It is something that you will have to hone your skills on being able to position this type of solution, but generally focusing on a relatively small number of value propositions, those of reduced nuisances, reduced false alarms, and an increase in the overall dispatch or the reduction in the dispatch times are usually ones that really resonate the most and generate genuine value. But the other thing for you to realize is that in this context that these systems are very easy to upgrade to existing systems. Some companies may lead you to believe that this is a complete retrofit, that you need to really pull out what's there and replace it with a system that has video verification at its core. But the reality is that these systems can be easily added as an adjunct to an existing system, and something that can be positioned and sold as a genuine upgrade for not a forklift upgrade type of cost where you have to rip and replace the entire solution, but something that you come in at a moderate price point and able to add another layer of security to your existing customer base. We'll talk a little bit about how kind of quickly and easily the installation goes on one of the later slides. But it does ultimately, see there in the last bullet, kind of beat this point to death a bit, but it does deliver a true priority response and an additional level of security, or at least the feeling of security to your customers, which is certainly the peace of mind that all of us want to impart on our customers. Kind of going on to the next slide, is one of the important aspects of this type of system is also the convenience factor for the business owner, in that you can utilize your smartphone to take a peek through the system in a non-alert and a non-alarm circumstance. So you say here in this case we do have our video control app, which goes along with the product that we'll be looking at, the Telguard V2H, which is a product that we offer, but oftentimes any of these video verified systems will have a remote app that will allow you, or not you, I guess the dealer, but the business owner, to utilize the mobile app to take a peek in through, to request a video clip, or to simply request a photograph of what the camera is currently looking at. So a way for them to kind of keep tabs on what's happening as an additional value to the overall system that's been installed. So sometimes, it is a difficult scenario to position a product that, very similar to the traditional security system, that is there for protection, but one hopes is never used, right? But with the traditional system, it really doesn't have a visual aspect to it, so there's not something to necessarily demonstrate except that there is dispatch. But when we're talking about verified solutions, we make tools available, and there are numerous other videos that are available to help the customer understand what the overall experience is. Because frankly, when they're installed and when they're operating, you do somewhat hope that you're never going to actually have to see one of these things in action. So from a sales tool standpoint, there are often things like both the video app that we show here, the Telguard Video Control, which allows them to get the experience of being able to have a system that's installed that they can leverage and utilize on a daily basis, even while it's silently protecting the site at night. And then we also have other videos available of various captures and arrests and things of that nature that really help set the experience of having video verification while it's being utilized, so they can understand and feel what that overall experience really is. On the next slide, really shows a simple architecture, a very basic diagram, but really, by and large, really all that's necessary to really summarize the overall architecture of how this looks like. And if you look at it, a video verification system is very similar in architecture to the traditional security system. The verification system, and in particular the one offered by Telguard and by VideoFi, this system is one that utilizes a direct connection to the cellular network. In some cases, it actually does have the option to go over an Ethernet network. But in this case, we're really talking about the fact that the adjunct system that you've attached to the alarm panel has a direct connection, its own dedicated connection to the cellular network, and it really is directly connected to the central station so that verified responses can take place as quickly as possible. But there isn't a middleman or anything else in the chain from the Telguard V2H system or from any of the VideoFi systems. But whereas in some cases might think that the video verified type system has to be at its core and there can't be an existing alarm panel, as I've said a couple times already, this type of system in particular, the Telguard V2H, works just like, if you're already familiar with Telguard products, works very similar to existing Telguard products in that it is an adjunct to an existing panel. In that case, has a simple wiring. You essentially utilize free zones on the existing alarm panel so that the video verification system follows and mirrors the armed state of the host panel. And as it follows that host state, it is effectively arming and disarming along with all of the other sensors, so that you can very simply just upgrade an existing system with this video verification aspect without having to tamper significantly with the original system that's in place, either in its programming or in its method of dispatch or even in its method of communications in any way, shape, or form. You simply install the V2H or the video verification system beside the existing panel, run a couple wires to couple the two things together, reprogram a zone so that its arm state will control the state of the video verification system. And with that, you have a simple installation, very quick upgrade. So from an installation standpoint, there's not a lot of time needed to be spent on the actual installation. You can get the upgrade, and the installation is relatively easy. The other thing that's important to note when we're talking about the system itself is we just talked about connecting the V2H system to an alarm panel with a simple local coupling of cables between the two things. But from that point out, all of the cameras that are attached to this system are wireless. And it utilizes a very, and we'll look at some more details on the camera in a couple of slides, but it utilizes a very robust protocol and a very smart protocol such that the cameras are really only using battery when they're armed. So you can get up to 4 years of battery life out of these cameras. They're completely wireless, and you can install them up to 20, I believe it's 24 of them on any particular system. So you can put cameras all over the place, and all of them will effectively be a part of that verification system. So it's very easy to install one system as an upgrade and still get the video coverage of a fairly large business out of it. All right. I think that's the main thing to say there. Let's take a look at that next slide, which I think just kind of sums up kind of that connection. In this case, we're showing an existing security panel, and then kind of almost in a relative size here what the V2H starter kit would give you as a means of upgrade. And again, it's just simply some cables that connect these two devices together. You might need an additional relay, a couple $1 relay. In some cases, you might need that depending on the panel that you're attaching it to. And Telguard provides assistance in knowing what additional accessories might be required in an installation. But basically, you either use just the cables themselves or simple relay, and those are the only components that are really necessary. Another aspect of this system is that that the adjunct system does have its own backup battery. It is self-sufficient in that case, and it also does have a very long battery life off of D-cell batteries. So it's easy from a battery replacement and maintenance. You can take care of that with standard batteries that are available, and it can mount very easily without necessarily having to consume an additional power port at the installation site with the panel, which I know at times can be kind of hard to come by with everything that's plugged in there. On the next slide, this really goes into this video verification starter kit. So to get the benefits and the things that we've talked about up until this point leads you to needing to actually have the equipment available to get it. And so what we've done is we partner with VideoFied and have created the V2H Video Verification Starter Kit that's listed here. And it's available in your security distributors. You can go into pretty much any of your favorite security distributors and pick one of these up. And within it is everything that you need to get started on your first test to feel and kind of feel the system out. And then from that point on, it forms the basis for your knowledge and building your own business cases around that. So we have the basic components here as we look at the what's being provided here in the bullets. Pretty much gives you everything that you need. It does handle the video clips for the priority response and the sending to a central station. It is a simple upgrade to all the existing panels. It's an important thing here, and it's one that should not be overlooked, is that third bullet, which VideoFied has done a very good job of working with central stations and having their video receiver software installed at many of the top central station resellers and wholesalers that are out there. But even more importantly is they've worked closely with these companies and a group of companies that can actually be found on their website. You can, they've actually worked so that a video verified alarm can be added to an account for the same price as monitoring a traditional alarm. And that's an important thing to consider, is that usually touching or monitoring video in any way, shape, or form at the central station leads to higher costs. So, when I say, hey, you can double your RMR, many are thinking, yeah, but that's not a doubling of my profits because I have a lot of additional costs that are now going to be charged out of that because I'm installing video verification. But recently, and with the efforts of the company Videofied, they've gotten many central stations to acknowledge and to work with them that monitoring a video verified alarm system is in an indoor setting, and I should stress that, in an indoor controlled setting, isn't necessarily any more taxing to the central station than monitoring a non-video verified alarm. And so right now they're offering the ability to do that at the same, essentially at the same price as a traditional alarm, which is really important when you're considering adding this onto a system, that you don't want to add it onto an existing system and thus significantly increase the costs for doing it. In this case, you're basically just adding on an additional monitoring fee for that account. And in some cases, it may actually be included with the core monitoring of the existing account, at which point whatever you get for adding the V2H or similar system to the installation becomes all added profit. On that last bullet, again, it's easy to install. You do get 4 of these with the, you can get up to 4 years of battery life, but the V2H starter kit does come bundled already with 1 camera and the motion viewer, that TGIMV. It does come with 1 of those. And what's nice about the starter kit is that it's all pre-programmed. The only piece of programming that needs to occur is you need to tell it what central station to report to. But it comes with a SIM. It comes with the ability to be activated on the Telguard online portal, and the camera does not need to be learned into the unit. Additional cameras obviously wouldn't need to be paired with the base station, but from the ground up, you pretty much can open up this box, add your central station information to it, and you have a turnkey video verification upgrade package. And you do have the ability, obviously, to add this remote camera feature that we looked at earlier in the webinar. Okay, on the next slide, just, obviously a key piece of this is going to be the camera. So we'll take a real quick look at what we're talking about when we talk about the motion viewer. Now, this is the indoor motion viewer, and much of what we're talking about here in this presentation is really about the equipment and the propositions to go back into maybe a light commercial or commercial customer of yours and to upgrade their system to video verification. And as such, to keep the overall costs associated with this upgrade to you, the dealer, down, we're really talking about indoor installations. Outdoor installations for video verification, totally different thing. You have a lot of random things that can occur, and all of that tends to lead to higher transport costs, more video clips having to be viewed within the central station, and overall just a higher cost structure in offering video verification in an outdoor use case. It's a great use case, but it doesn't lend itself as easily to the upgrade scenarios that we're talking about here. So the IMV, which is the indoor motion viewer, these are really the benefits here. It does operate on 900 megahertz. It's fully encrypted and supervised. It's got a great infrared illumination, so it does work. It does produce color images and video during the with enough light, but it automatically switches to infrared illumination at night. And most images that you'll see online from these types of systems are going to be black and white, because much of that, as we can all imagine, much of the crime that's taking place is taking place after hours. So, high performance infrared is going to be important to the overall experience and usefulness of the system. So it does have, these different compression rates aren't really as important, except that you want to keep video size down because those typically directly relate to the amount of costs associated with the cellular connection in order to drive those videos back to the central station. So keeping those costs low is important from a compression standpoint, but the nice benefit here also is that with an indoor system with video verification, what you get is ultimately alarms or motion-based alarms that are happening truly as a result of some abnormality, as opposed to outdoor systems which may catch a passing car or a tree that blows a little bit too stiff of a wind. Things like this are occurring, and they're occurring throughout the day at random periods. Or if you have a camera up on a roof, a pigeon lands in front of it, and they have an alarm that triggers that way. Usually with indoor systems, which is why they can be, the offer is to monitor them at the same fee as a traditional security system, is that the video clip is typically only coming in because something truly abnormal has occurred. So that overall keeps the cellular fees for monitoring these types of products to the same levels as passing the cellular signals for a traditional security system as well. So there's kind of a theme developing here of parity between a traditional system. It installs in a very similar way with the traditional system. It has that traditional, from the installation standpoint, it has a traditional monitoring cost from the central station, and it mirrors the traditional cellular service fees of a traditional system as well. So across the board, the cost structure of adding this to an existing system is very similar to the system that's already in place if you're utilizing it as an upgrade. All right. Kind of going on to the next slide is, so we're kind of making our movement here. I don't know that our slide operator has moved the slide yet. There we go. And so we are currently, so for those of you who are attending here and are interested and have your interest peaked in the opportunity to utilize video verification as an upgrade for existing systems and to leverage that to really get your feet wet. In a webinar like this, with the time that we have available to us, there really isn't a lot of opportunity to go into deep depth on sales strategies and how to position and things of that nature, because ultimately you need to be able to have one of these systems, use it as an upgrade, as a test, and then really develop your own confidence level with this system. So I don't want to oversell that this type of product is just it's a trivial thing to buy and install. But, well, actually, it is trivial to install. And by the way, it is probably trivial to buy as well. But the aspect here is that to actually sell to your end customer does require a level of confidence and a real focused intent on upgrading and believing in the additional value that's provided. And we have a home automation line called Telguard Home Control, and we see the similar thing there in that just simply saying, for a dealer just to simply say, I have a home control option or I have a home automation option is one thing, but to really utilize it and have it in your own home or have it in your own business and to take advantage and to play with it increases the level of confidence that goes along with making that sale. And the dealers that we're seeing that are most successful in leveraging video verification are those that kind of live and breathe with it for a little while, get their scripts down, know what they're going to say and how to position it, and then they go off and they start upgrading their base or offering it as an incentive upgrade to their existing customers. And at that point is where they really start to see that high take rate and the additional RMR that rolls off of that. Our next slide is something else that we've talked a lot about video verification, but some of the folks here on the call may actually already be utilizing VideoFide for their video verification. verification systems, and and you may be joining the call today just to hear a little bit more about what other options may be out there, to see if I have something new to say that you may not have heard in the past. So I hope this is one of those if you fit into that category. And if you are already using VideoFide, there is a way here that if I can't necessarily, because you're already utilizing it, talk you into leveraging it to double your RMR, perhaps I can at least give you an option that might help you cut your costs in half. So with that, Telguard, if you order products from VideoFide directly, or even if you pick up your products through distribution, because I know their products are, I believe, in Triad and perhaps some other distributors, but specifically I know that VideoFide sells their products that way. Our products are available, I should add, in all security distributors, but VideoFide specific products are available in only a few. But if you are already purchasing those products in that way, Telguard does have a SIM that utilizes the same technology as all of our products, but works seamlessly within the existing existing VideoFide product line, and it has a couple of good benefits. Most importantly, we offer a feature called dealer pooling, and it really is a unique thing that we've been able to offer, leveraging our large customer base of cellular products for universal alarm communicators. So by working with our carrier partners, we're able to produce a dealer pooling option, which, like I said, is unique when it comes to providing transport for a VideoFide solution. And just a quick overview of this, you can see kind of the difference between dealer pooling and what everyone else tends to offer, which is rate plan pooling. And the difference is pretty easy to see here, in that it helps to greatly reduce your overage costs, which can become very high, especially on outdoor systems. Indoor systems, not so much, but if you're utilizing an outdoor system, your cost can really skyrocket from a poorly placed camera. And so just a real quick overview on what that is you can see here that with two exact same systems, one on rate plan pooling on the right and one on dealer pooling on the left, the difference is that with Telguard's dealer pooling feature, that we allow all units under a dealer, regardless of what rate plan they're subscribed to share the aggregate pool of data. And what that ends up doing is it ends up allowing dealers to have a couple of options. And one, if they target a particular data plan to a particular use case, they will get the benefit of having underutilization on some high plans to, the pool created to help protect them from the overages that might have been created from a lower usage plan utilizing too much data. So in that example would be the chart on the right, where you have 5 units that each have a 2 meg plan, so they have shared 10 megabytes of data, but they used 12, so they're going to have to pay overages on that. Whereas with dealer pooling, the fact that you underutilized with those 2 units using their 5 meg plans, if they didn't fully use that amount, you can utilize that data. You can utilize that overage. You can utilize the pool created by not using the data to help protect you from overages on the 5 units on the dealer pooling side. The other thing that this type of arrangement would allow a dealer to do, and it all depends on your level of interest in managing your plans. If you want to set and forget, you kind of end up with a built-in protection of the dealer pool, protecting you from overages. But if you want to come in and change your rate plans or help standardize on one particular rate plan, we can actually drive costs down. We've seen very consistently against the other SIM options that are available for VideoFide. Pretty consistently, we can save about 30% to up to 50%, and I've even seen higher levels of savings depending on the deal that was originally given to a customer. Up to 50, 60% savings in their recurring cellular fees associated with their outdoor systems. So by leveraging dealer pooling and just a little bit of our improved rates because of our buying power given the other universal business that we have in the industry, our dealers are able to generate significant savings from their existing systems. So I think I beat that one to death. But if you're already a believer in video verification and using VideoFi on outdoors or indoor systems, we do have a good option for you. And how you'd want to pick up those SIMs, they are going to be available for sale in distribution, and you can just walk in and pick one of those up in distribution. Or when you order your products from VideoFi, simply tell them you want a Telguard SIM, and they'll throw one in there for free. Okay. And with that, I think I'll kind of bring this portion to an end and open it up for questions. I don't know if we have any that have been coming in, but go ahead and see if we have any questions.
I do want to remind callers, please go ahead and submit those questions via the question log. Sean, I believe you have some questions that have come through via chat.
Oh, I do. Where can I? Okay, yeah. So one of the questions here was looking for where can they pick up one of these starter kits. So on that question here of where can I buy the TGV2H starter kit, the starter kit is available in pretty much all security distributors. It's a long list, and it's wherever you would traditionally buy a Telguard product. If you're already one of our customers, you'll be able to find those available at the same distribution outlets. A question here, another one came in here. All right. Are the Telguard units the same as the VideoFi units as far as operation, firmware, etc.? The answer to that is yes. They are largely the same. It's just that the V2H is geared more towards being pre-set up for upgrading an existing system, whereas the traditional VideoFi system could leverage that ability. You'll have some more programs you can do. It won't be fully kind of in a true starter kit format, but yeah, you can utilize cameras and other accessories that you might get from VideoFi with the TGV2H. So they are largely identical. Okay, another question here on what about the homeowner's concern of the ability for someone to look in on their cameras in a non-alarm condition? Yeah, there's that the central station and that the way these systems are connected, the look-in feature is only available through the mobile app, and that's only available to the end user. So if they choose to have that app, then through their own username and password, they're the only ones that actually can utilize that look-in feature. But if they don't have that app and they're just in general concerned about this type of feature, you know, the ability for someone to peek in, it's really not possible. What happens is that the VideoFi system, when it goes into the central station, there needs to be an alarm condition for there to be a video attached, so that is generally protected within the VideoFi software that's installed at the central station. And remember, there isn't anything in between that piece of software running at the central station and the equipment that's on at the business or in the home in this scenario that's being asked. So, so those two things, there isn't an opportunity for like you know, some sort of other intermediary center or piece of software or something like that to sit in between the two. It all goes straight from there to the central station, and the central station software is what protects that ability to look in. So another question here is, can you use this model as a standalone system? You can actually use it as a standalone system. I do that with in my office. Not that I don't trust the people that I work with, but you know, kind of the old eat your own dog food methodology. I do have one of these in my system operating as a complete standalone system, so that is absolutely a possibility. You can do that. Is there an antenna in the kit? The antenna is actually built into the unit itself. So I got to admit that I'm not familiar with whether or not there's the opportunity to add an external antenna, and I bet you that there is, but Unfortunately, I actually don't know the answer to that, but I will say that the cellular antenna is a part of the kit, and it's just built into the product. Okay, got questions rolling in here. Let me expand my window so I can get to them all here. Yes, okay, so a question was asked, is the dealer pooling plan for VideoFide or the TG-V2H monitoring systems accounts only? Currently, both VideoFide and the TG-V2H, regardless, our system is smart enough to know that you either have a SIM that's in a traditional VideoFide system or that you have a V2H, and it allows both of those systems to share one pool of data. If the question, so that is true that those two things share. If the point of that question was to wonder if there are other products that we have that would also be a part of that pool, the answer to that is currently no, but as we bring out other products that are more geared toward data consumption from a Telguard point of view, if we bring out products that are geared towards data consumption, our plan is to include those in an aggregate dealer pool that would be applicable across product lines, not just limited to the video verification products. All right. Can an alert be sent through the app with the video clip to the end user? So no. What happens is that how the system will operate is that when the video verification system is triggered, to expedite that video clip's delivery to the central station, that is what takes complete priority. So that clip is delivered only to the central station. So the end user that has an app will not get a copy of the alert that's sent to the central station. That is just like a red line to the Kremlin kind of a thing. The camera is clipped, the motion is detected, the camera captures its clip, and that is directly sent back to the central station for dispatch. It doesn't also go to an end user. Now the end user, they can utilize the video software, the video look-in software, to request videos and clips, and those would be sent to them. And there is logic within the system so that if, let's say, a break-in is occurring or a motion is triggered while a look-in is occurring, that the actual motion-triggered alert will take precedence to the alert being delivered to the end user. Okay, and you guys are jamming the questions. Hold on, they're rolling off my screen. Let me scroll up here a little bit. Traditional panel. Okay, so the question is, if a customer is currently using a traditional alarm panel and now integrates and adds a VideoFide panel, does the traditional panel communicate through the VideoFide Telguard GSM network? So the answer to that is yes. The VideoFide panel with our SIM will communicate utilizing Telguard SIM. Actually, let me, I might probably give a little bit more information than maybe this is asking for. But because we will be a SIM provider for the panel, so when you do it as an adjunct to an existing system, the video clip is going straight to the central station. It's not going through Telguard servers, if you're familiar with our traditional architecture. It will not be passing through our servers, and anything like our traditional alarm universal communicators would be handled. It is a straight hotline straight to the central station. It will pass through our network, how it gets from the air, from the cellular network onto the internet. It will pass through our routers, if you will, but it will not actually be stored within Telguard's infrastructure and then forwarded on to the central station. But it does utilize the Telguard, the message here is GSM, but it is the V2H, I should stress, is not a 2G based system. It is an actual HSPA or a 3G, 4G system. Okay, another question, Tom. Do you have an approved list of central stations which are not increasing the pricing of the traditional alarm monitoring fees with this solution? We do have that, and based upon this question, I think one of the action items that we will be sure to do is follow up, and when we send you a kind of a follow-up email for thanking you, of course, for your attendance of this, we will go ahead and include the link so that you can get a list of those approved central stations. Can you split the way, another question here, can you split the way the motion viewer can either go in as an alarm to the central or an email only? I guess just kind of how I'm interpreted the answer for that question is that the alerts from the V2H system will always go to the central station in a proprietary format. The central station then has the option to then email that video clip, as is often the case. They may email it for evidence or something like that to the PSAP or perhaps to the key holder or something of that nature, but it's always delivered to the central station software, and then from there the operator has the opportunity to then send it on to someone else via email. But it will not be delivered over email to the central station. There's a and if the question came from someone who was interested in adding this feature to their central station, VideoFide offers a server product that is what integrates into the central station environment. So you would contact them if you're looking for the actual server to put up in your environment to receive that. If the customer looks in, are there additional charges as far as data every time they use it? With the Telguard system, we add an additional charge for the video look-in service, and that charge does add an additional couple of megs of data to the pool that we talked about in the dealer pooling. So every time you add a motion look-in or the VideoFide app as an add-on, you are doing two things. You're enabling the ability to add the app to the site, but you're also, by its additional monthly fee for the app, we have to, of course, pay a couple people for the use of that app, but what you're really doing is you're also then paying for the additional data that we throw in to the pool as well. So there is an additional fee for the app, but most of the time the traffic generated by that app is well within the amount of additional data that we give you as a result of adding that add-on. So it does consume the data, but almost all the time it's a part of that dealer pooling, and you don't actually see the additional usage because of what we give you in addition just for adding that feature. So the question, how does the video get received at the central? Is it the same software as VideoFide? The answer to that is yes, absolutely. What we've done is we've partnered with VideoFide to create a video verification bundle that we will support most commonly as an upgrade to existing security panels. So the V2H is a streamlined starter kit of a VideoFide system that is turnkey from a Telguard standpoint. So everything in the ecosystem that you'd be familiar with from a VideoFide system is identical to the V2H. It's just the V2H leverages a more turnkey experience and ability, honestly, to walk into a local distributor and to pick up one of these systems as opposed to having to work or buy it directly or buy a VideoFide system that isn't turnkey from an existing distributor that carries them. Okay, where is my install manual? I think it's in a folder on your desk. I don't know what the answer to that question is, but if it's something along the lines of maybe you didn't get one when you bought one of the units, certainly my contact information, and email me about that, and we can take that one offline. I will provide contact information on that. I think it's up there now. I don't know if mine is actually on there, but I will provide that to you in just a second. Yes, I think that, there was a question about adding an external antenna for the cellular antenna. I think I said earlier that I'm embarrassed to say that I actually don't know if you can add an additional antenna to the unit. I will see if we can't find out who asked that question and get back to you. I'll ask someone about that specifically. In unarmed mode, can you view remotely? The answer is yes. You can view whether it's armed, whether the system is armed or disarmed through the Telguard Video Control app. You can, regardless of the state of the system, request videos and clips from the system from the app. So that is always a possibility, yes. Are there plans to change the ability to use unsupervised with a motion-triggered alert? That one I might have to, ask Jacqueline to maybe make sure we get who asked that particular question. We can come back and to talk more about that. We are looking at trying to add the feature to these systems so that, I don't want to say that they're I say these systems being the V2H specifically, so that they can have let's say a self-monitored mode in which which a central station isn't necessarily required, so that perhaps you could upsell this to a customer for protecting private areas of their business that they don't want employees or other people coming into, and so that if somebody does enter into one of these protected areas, that they get a notification of that directly to them as fast as the central station would have gotten it. But it's more of the use case for using that would be in a self-monitored mode, not so that you can dispatch the police on your own, but because you're using it to watch things that you wouldn't want to traditionally go to the central station, but you do want an immediate notification that has occurred. That feature, I should stress, is not available yet, but it's one that we're working with VideoFi to see if we can't get added to specifically the V2H software. And one of the cool ways to do that is you can tuck these cameras anywhere, and so you could put a camera in a cash drawer or inside a safe or something like that. And if the door is opened or if the drawer is opened, that's what triggers the image capture, so that you can actually hide these things all over the place and not just have to necessarily protect a room that you don't want someone to go into, but you could project a drawer that you don't want someone to go into that should remain locked throughout the day. So that's a good way to get a good close-up of someone's face as they're rifling through a drawer in their boss's office. Okay, so let's take a look here. Yeah, so how long does that usually take from the alarm for the monitoring station to actually see the visual? There's a new version of the software coming out that's even going to speed this up even further, but right now we see that the first clip starts coming into the central station within about a minute or so. Because it's a cellular link and not necessarily a high bandwidth link, how the verification system works is it starts to send in the clips as they're delivered to the system. So it doesn't wait to deliver an entire video file for you then to start watching it. It actually starts to progressively deliver it frame by frame, and you're going to get about 50 frames over a couple of minutes. But actually within, I say a couple minutes, 1, 2, 3 or so minutes, you'll have the full clip. But most of the time what happens is you start getting clips immediately, nearly immediately within the minute or so. And then additional clips keep coming in. But because the first couple of frames have the object that triggered the video in them, it's usually easy to ascertain whether or not waiting for all of the clips is necessary or not, because if the first clip is a big Mylar balloon, you might stick around for the next 10 or so clips, but, clips, I say clips, but I mean frames, for the next 10 or so frames that come in, but you have a pretty good indication within the first minute or so whether or not this is going to be an alarm that requires further investigation or one that is probably just a false alarm. All right. Continuing here, the questions. Will this work with CDMA service? Currently, we do not offer either Telguard or VideoFi. They do not offer a CDMA version of this product. So the answer to that is no. Do we have the option of using either an Ethernet connection in lieu of a Telguard GSM connection? You do, in fact, have that option. So if you were to purchase a TG-V2H, you still can utilize the Ethernet connection on that device. You absolutely can. Although, I wish you wouldn't, but anyways, so yes, you can use it. And lastly here, as a follow-up question to one of the earlier questions, looks like that was asked. Oh, I see. Sorry. Can we use the Ethernet connection in lieu of Telguard and use the Telguard connection as a backup? I believe the answer to that is yes. Jacqueline will also want to make sure we get whoever asked that question, we'll get them a definitive answer. But yes, you can use the Ethernet backed up by the cellular. You can use either path. And yeah, so this is kind of a repeated question, but it was missed earlier, so I'll just answer it again. The question was, can it be used as a standalone system? The answer to that is yes. And just to add a little bit more clarity now that we're deeper into the conversation here with the Q&A, it can be used, and let me stress, in a standalone sense. What I'm saying yes to is that it can be used standalone in that it does not require a host panel for it to be an upgrade to. It can, in fact, be the panel itself. So that is what I'm saying yes to as standalone. If it is, can it be used without a central station? If that's the context of standalone, then the answer to that would be no, not currently, and I don't believe that would be something that is on the VideoFide roadmap, but it is something that is a feature that we are certainly investigating on the Telguard V2H roadmap, the ability to perhaps have the V2H starter kit installed in those scenarios that I mentioned a moment ago, which would be those non-emergency type scenarios where you're looking for dispatch, but you're trying to put them in those unauthorized areas so that the business owner has a way to immediately be notified with an image clip within a minute of someone venturing into an area where they shouldn't be. Okay, and it looks like with that, perfectly timed at 2 o'clock, we are out of questions from you guys, and as such, I guess I'm out of answers. But I wanted to take a quick opportunity to thank the Jacqueline, ESA, for working with us on this and giving us the opportunity to talk more about video verification. It is an opportunity that I do hope many of you do look into. Go get a starter kit, play with it yourself. You can get the SIMs and things like that. If you're already a VideoFide customer, you can get all those for free from VideoFide, or if you prefer to pick up a SIM from distribution, it's only a couple bucks out in distribution. But take a look at one of these systems. Try to build it into your own business process, because there are dealers, your competitors in your areas that are utilizing this technology to greatly increase their RMR. And as we're all aware, it's a lot easier to bring new products to your existing customers than it is to go out and find new customers. And video verification, particularly with the starter kit, is a great way to bring a true increase in the level of security and the business relationship with yourself to your existing base, and to have the opportunity to double your RMR. So thank you again for attending and all your time, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Sean. Just one last note to all the callers. Please remember that a recording of this webinar will be online at esaweb.org in the members-only resource library. There will be follow-up emails that go out, and you'll have the direct contact information for Sean, so you'll be able to reach out to him directly, as well as Sean will have all attendee contact information as well. And then CE credits are available, so if you do have any requests, I am going to chat out the email address, my email address, that you can contact me at for those forms. So yes, as Sean said, once again, thank you for everyone for your time participating on today's webinar, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.